father is from Bong?
Right. So my time in Basel.
Which part of Bong?
At the back of Salala.
Okay.
At the back of the Tisle Mission.
Tisle Mission. So now it's clear now. Your pa from Bong, your man is from Basel.
That's why I associate with the two.
Because the last time I checked, somebody was associating you with Kitman.
But because of the name Freeman.
Yeah.
So my father actually stayed with some Freeman people that were in Kakata. Okay. But I grew up all my life in Buchanan, Grand Bassa, so I speak Bassa as well.
If it wasn't for your father staying with a Freeman, what's your real name?
Saki.
Oh, Saki.
Right.
You're supposed to be SIMEON Saki.
Right. During the process of assimilation, that was what happened. So you can't go back to change.
No, you can't go back to change. I'm not even sure I'm a Jackson.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not even sure I'm a Jackson.
Right.
I think my father lived with some of the Jacksons way back in days.
Right.
Yeah. I'm actually Ikba.
Right.
KPAH. I'm actually Ikba.
Right.
But it's okay. Yeah, at least I got it from you, so that speculation is gone. How is the MPC, by the way?
Doing fabulous. Done a lot of recruitment. We are extending ourselves around, and we have lots of programs planned that's coming up.
How do you manage being the head of your business and a political leader? Or how does that play? Because you have different people from different political parties who want your product and all those kind of things.
Well, it's easy. It's easy. We discussed. If you have an objection, you tell me what your thoughts are. If you make more sense than I do, but we have clear goals. So, for example, you sit here and they say to you, Mr. Jackson, your revenue last year was say $5, and your revenue this year should be $20. And these are some of the approaches you could take to make your revenue $20. So that's the measure we use. So typically, I don't have to be there as a person, and I don't have to be part of it. Yes, I'm consulted for certain aspects of decision making, but I don't have to be there. So, for example, you see, we are about to reopen the hotel, the Simcoe Palace. We brought in a manager from South Africa. We have an operations manager from Lebanon. The rest of the staff are Liberians. So we basically have that structure in place, and they are best suited to be able to run the hotel adequately. So it doesn't have to be me being there anyway.
You have always spoken on the need for Liberianization, for businesses to be given to Liberian people. Why are you bringing foreigners to manage your businesses?
No, not all of the businesses.
Yeah, I mean your hotel. Why are you bringing foreigners?
So in every respect, I needed to tap on some foreign expertise. This guy he's been running a hotel in South Africa. The other Lebanese guy, he's ran hotels he's ran operations in hotels in certain places. So we want to be able to tap on that expertise. And then what you do is you have Liberians working along with them at a higher level. So over time, it transitions. The first time we had a hotel, there was a failure, and there were reasons why we had those failures. So we learned from that.
We could not find any qualified Liberian with experience internationally too?
Well, we could, but since we didn't find it, what we found, we made use of. And then we try to train the local guys so they can do the job. Same thing will be done with the factory when it reopens, hopefully by March.
What factory is it?
This factory, I have a factory on the freeway that we shut down because of we're doing 5,000 bottles per hour. So now we've stepped it up to 25,000 bottles per hour. We're going to do both soft drink and water. First, we're doing water only, and so we got a right technician from another country to come in. The production manager is coming in from elsewhere. The GM is coming in from elsewhere, and the rest of the other guys, including the operations manager and the rest of them, will be Liberians. So in a way, it takes the headache off, right? And I can really focus like I should.
Except that you'll be putting more money in the foreigners' pockets.
Well,
to bring these guys, I'm imagining bringing somebody from South Africa, you'll pay them in keeping with that standard.
I don't want to divert our conversation.
No, we'll come there.
But the truth is that the businesses that are better run in this town are the businesses that have brought in diversity of skills. I don't really want to say foreigner, but diversity of skills. So for me and my experience, I think it works best if you have like in grafting, right? Where you have this guy from this country, this guy from this country, blended with our people from different walks of life. it works well. Even if you have Liberians on the diaspora as well, it works as well. So that blend actually works for the good of the business. So most of the businesses that have survived in this town have those kinds of formula, and it really works.
Well, is there anything major the MPC is doing this year? And I mean, down without number, the MPC standard bearer has always been SIMEON Freeman, SIMEON Freeman, SIMEON Freeman. Probably maybe through the democratic process, they've always elected. Well, is there anything major you're doing?
Yeah. So when Unity Party standard bearer was Ellen Johnson said it twice, right? Mm-hmm. And then after that,
can we bring comparison?
And then Worker came to the force.
And then Joshua
same thing. So there is nothing wrong so far as the party thing. You are the person to take the country forward. And you have the right vision, expertise, then I think it works. Are we doing a lot of major things? Yeah, we're doing a lot of major things. We're gonna be trying to leverage transportation and in different ways with these buses that are coming in. Mm. We also gonna be working with petty traders. We gone far with one of the buildings. We lost one of the buildings because we delayed. Right now they're driving there off the streets. We also implementing our loan program again this year. So there are a lot of things we're doing across the country.
The party is giving loan?
Yeah. We did that last year. We're also going to do that. We're also launching.
You do that? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I know you talked about
some
buildings here you wanted to.
We're also launching about 2,000 scholarships this year for university students. We will be starting that next week. We have started with high schools. The last one was at this Echo High School. We committed 50 scholarships, and I was very impressed when I was there with the talents of the students. Yeah, so.
Okay, that's good. Now, in keeping with Article 58, I know I'm correct, of the Constitution, the President should report to the legislature and talk about the administration's agenda for the ensuing year and in fulfillment of that. Recently, His Excellency President Bouaka would report to the legislature. What is your general assessment of the President's State of the Nation's address? I know I will be specific on some of the issues, but generally, what is your own assessment?
Well, look, many times I think we make this fundamental mistake of understanding what the SONA is about. There are two aspects of the SONA. The first one is where the Minister of Finance, through the budget performance report, comes back to the legislature, which every business does, and say, you give me authorization to spend $890 million in 2025. This is how it was spent. These are the outcomes. It's not because you have an institution created by the act of the legislature that every year it must get a certain quantity of money. What did you accomplish? And how was the money spent? Then the president himself comes and says, these are the things we accomplished, and this is how the money was spent, and this is the state of the nation, and these are the things I want to do in this new year. That's why you see the president speaks after the budget performance report is submitted to the legislature. Then the president goes back to the legislature in the new year. That's why it's not in the old year, in the new year, because you see by January 20, I think it's 28.
28, yeah.
The year has ended and a lot has happened. So then what happened? Then the president goes to report. But when you just look at the entire speech overall, it doesn't suggest that significant progress was made, even if you were aligning it with their own arrest agenda in terms of simple promises. Simple questions we ask, and sometimes it sounds like a monotony. You came to power, you said you the first 3 months you trained 10,000 people in the area of IT. We haven't had those discussions since then. The issue of harmonization, I remember in 2023 people were saying you harmonize our pay, we're going to harmonize your vote. And those are the things that brought you to power, and not much is being done. Comparatively, in the area of health, Sierra Leone has a maternal mortality rate of 353. I think it's under 400 deaths per 100,000. Liberia covers around 650 to 850, which is above the sub-Saharan Africa average. Not much has been done on those fronts. But there is something more important I just wanted to stress quickly. In the president's legislative agenda, there are some fundamental mistakes. We already have an institution called the National Food Assistance Agency. the president is saying that he wants to, he's submitting legislation to create the National Food Assistance Agency. But this National Food Assistance Agency was created in 1970. And it was the purpose of this institution, as per the act that created it, was the act of the legislature coordinate food assistance programs between GOL and relief agencies such as the UN, WFP, CARE, etc., to efficiently determine policies on the management of aid for more effective programming. But you found out that WFP and the UN agencies basically now handle their own stuff through other smaller NGOs, and they're not dealing with the NFA, the National Food Assistance Agency anymore. But why you want to reenact a National Food Assistance Agency when we already have a National Food Assistance Agency? So basically, I think the president basically need to look at that. And we need to commend where the president said he's going to set up a Presidential Transition Act. We think it's very important because there's been quite a lot of conflict and confusion when it comes to transition from one president to the next. And that's quite commendable. The issue of setting up the Civil Service Commission, our position is that we don't need a Civil Service Commission. Under Madam Selly, we had a General Auditing Agency, and the General Auditing Agency was changed to a General Auditing Commission. It hasn't really changed anything. The same role they were performing, it hasn't really changed anything. So we think the Civil Service Agency needs technological capacitation and approach modernization, and not necessarily making it a commission. The General Auditing Office, like I said, became the General Auditing Commission, and nothing has since changed. So we really need to leverage technology in a way people are recruited and enhance the output at the Civil Service Agency. The president is also talking about amendment in the anti-corruption law to address illicit enrichment. That's part of his legislative agenda. And we are saying, look, you don't need to introduce new laws. You already have. Remember, under Madam Selly, there was all this argument about LACC needs prosecutorial authority, right? We created that.
I think President Weah administration.
Right. It was created under President Weah. Then we're still talking about illicit enrichment. So basically, from a political standpoint, we're being more lazy. So all we're saying is, look, corruption is corruption. So we do not need new laws to punish corruption, but rather introduce new technologically driven approaches to disable corruption. That's precisely what we need at this point in time. We need to deploy GSC in ways that de-risk public sector of fraud, waste, and abuse of public resources. What are we suggesting? We say, look, you need to deploy GSC and LACC at every government institution, not to control or run the ministry or institution, but to be part of the approval process. If that happens, it's gonna de-risk, because what we have now is a post-mortem. At the end of the period, you hear, GST conducted this audit and this other man stole this or this, that, and sometimes these things are not vetted. So instead of doing post-mortem, we need to now move to de-risking, which is what we use within our environment, and many other businesses use that to ensure that the damage is not caused, but that efforts are taken to avoid these kinds of exposures. Public resource exposure. The other thing we think needs to be done is to reintroduce bulk purchasing of non-financial assets. All of this, this other ministry buying its own paper, this other one buying their own computer, is been a source of serious problems. So if we reintroduce bulk purchasing, what's going to happen? Government can say, look, we want to buy 30,000 computers, and it's going to get a very good price. Government can say, look, we want to buy 500 generators, and it's going to get a very good price because it's buying in bulk and from selected vendors. And our suggestion is that those vendors must be Liberian entities in order for Liberians to be the biggest consumer of Liberian taxes, like it's done elsewhere around the world. We also have a problem with, we also talk about In order to fight corruption, we need to leverage technology to improve the judicial case adjudication processes by capacitating judges and courts to drastically reduce the quantity of cases on dockets nationwide. Liberia has more laws and less implementation. We must optimize the existing anti-corruption laws to de-risk the public sector of nuisance and theft. The passage of more anti-corruption laws will only disable the dreams and aspirations of the many in favor of the few. Then the president is also asking to set up a national planning commission. We have a serious problem with that. The ministry, you remember the Ministry of Planning for Economic Affairs. Senator Amara Kone was then the minister under President Sirleaf. And then you had the Bureau of the Budget. It used to be situated at the back of the mansion. Those two institutions were collapsed into what is now the Ministry of Finance for Development Planning.
Ministry of Finance and Development Planning.
It used to be called Ministry of Finance only. Now, what the president wants this National Planning Commission to do is, and budgeting, planning and budgeting, it basically would be the role of the Budget Bureau and the Ministry of Planning. So you already have those functions within the Ministry of Finance. So we urging the legislators not to pass such a commission, because you see, every time you create these commissions, you basically have to fund them. And you're talking millions of dollars. That money can go towards education, go towards health, go towards developing our economy in very significant ways. And so we have a problem with these multiple institutions that President Boyka wants to create. Every new institution you create has to be funded. And so if we already have the functions, or we don't need it, then he's talking about a new
So I'm just waiting for you to absorb
go ahead,
what you
go
have.
ahead. You can ask questions on those fronts, and I can just go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, but are you considering Article 89 of the Constitution and what it says? Because some of these things the president talked about is provided for by law. Now, take for example, when you read Article 89 of the Constitution that talks about autonomous public commission, it talks about establishment of autonomous public commission and power of the legislature to enact laws for their governance. So when the president makes a proposal, it goes to the legislature. But what I'm saying, in your different public interactions, consider some of these things that they are provided for by law.
So what we're saying is, you cannot, it's like multiplicity of institutions. You had those institutions before, you lapsed their functions into the Ministry of Finance Development Planning, which now prepares the budget directly. First, the Budget Bureau prepare the budget, send it to the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Planning, all of the economic planning, send it to the Ministry of Finance, and the collaborator. So now we have one ministry that is now powerful, one minister that has all of those functions. Then you come back and say, oh, we need to create this. Yes, you have the right to create it, but you don't create what you already have, because the purpose there will be defeated, and that's our argument.
Why, if you were amending it to strengthen what you already have, that the president talked about amending the act that created the Ministry of Foreign Affairs,
right?
To strengthen to strengthen the existing institutions.
So again, that's where you see.
But Article 89, I think the Constitution talks about a Civil Service Commission. So is the president wrong?
No, you have that, right? So you already have that. So if you already have a civil service agency, then the challenge is, what are the structural challenges that is hindering the kinds of deliverables that are anticipated? So then you address that. And the way to address that is not necessarily to create new laws. What is the difference now between the old GAC, the old General Auditing Agency, and the General Auditing Commission? Well, what is the real difference? They still perform the same audit. They still publish those reports. So nothing has to have really changed. By creating these new institutions or expanding them in a way you do, you create more burdens for taxpayers. Let's look at another approach: the new property code. If you create a new property code, it doesn't change anything. If there is a property problem and I sue you, I will not get redress until it goes to the Supreme Court. So I can win you in a lower court, but still have to go to the Supreme Court, right? So if the Supreme Court has a backlog of, say, 500 cases or 1,000 cases, you're not trying to push those cases through by looking at the problem holistically. What you're basically doing is you're using a short-term, short-sighted vision, which is typical of the way we do it here. We have a problem in Grand Cru County. In Grand Cru, that was then a territory. Instead of saying, what are the challenges? Let's come up with a scientific, technologically driven approach. What we then do, we say, give Grand Cru 2 senators, give Grand Cru representatives. Then the money you spend on representatives and senators is more than the money you spend on the county for development, which is some of the things we're still doing. You don't need a new property code. What you need to do is to capacitate the code with increased funding, increased technology. Look, I don't want to be specific with certain information, but I connected the former Chief Justice to the Chief Justice of Kenya, right? And the Chief Justice of Kenya gave a structure which was so impressive. Every case has a case number, you just on the computer, you go there, you can pick up those things, the way they do the property arrangement. Do they have challenges with the system? Yes. Have they leveraged technology to move past that? Yes. And these are the things we're talking about. So if you only want to be creating, in this case, you want to create a new planning commission, but you already have people at the Ministry of Finance that came from the planning ministry that are doing planning. Then you have the budget bureau already at the Ministry of Finance.
But Mr. Freeman, why do you need to create that? Article 89 doesn't talk about the creation of agency. It talks about creation of a commission. And that's why I'm still reminding you, because it is by law, Article 89. It talks about specific commission. The following autonomous public commissions are hereby established. Civil Service Commission, General Auditing Commission, Elections Commission. So the president was talking about Civil Service Commission. It says the legislature shall enact laws for the governance of these commissions and create other agencies as may be necessary for the effective operation of the government. It didn't say agency. The law is clear. It says commission.
So, Mr. Jackson.
Yes, sir.
What's the difference between an agency and a commission?
You tell us.
But no, you are the one arguing because you're supporting the bureaucratic perception.
No, I'm not. I'm not, Mr. Freeman. When we come here, we should not attempt to provide information that is not correct. Okay. You are arguing that the law is an agency. I'm saying no, the law is clear. The law is saying the establishment of commission. And the law is clear. The law indicates, this is now one of the things to say ambiguous. So the law talks about specific commission.
So Mr. Jackson, my point therefore is, when you say a civil service agency, right? It ends with the word agency. When you say a civil service commission, it ends with the word commission. What are the functions of, which is the issue about? So is it the nomenclature that changes performance? And I keep giving an example of GAC. So now you have General Auditing Agency.
No, but I think
slow down. I want to provide a clarity.
I think you are giving the impression that what the president is proposing is not by law.
No.
I think that the impression you are giving. So I wanted to tell you that this is a provision by law. Okay.
Then I think you misunderstood. I'm saying what the president is proposing does not deal with the core challenges. And so the core challenges must be dealt with, because you don't need that. And that's why I gave an example that when you transition from the General Auditing Agency to the General Auditing Commission, it did not change anything in terms of the deliverable. You still have that same institution that's delivering there. So do we need to change it?
Probably the commission could have a wider scope.
No, slow down. You see, the functions and outcome of these things are clearly based on the way you operate. If OKFM wants to now have a sub-relay station in every county, they can do it without necessarily changing the name to whatever the name is. It is not the name that gives you the outcome. It is basically the functions of, and that's what we're stressing. It's the same thing we say with the code. You want to set up a new property code. That new property code it's still gonna be another code that creates a whole new line of cases that has to be and not on the name, which is the focus.
We might come back there. Let's be specific. Let's go to the state of the economy.
I'm still looking at the legislative agenda. The president wants to also establish a national road authority.
Okay, the legislative agenda. That's where you want us to go.
So no, I'm just dealing with that. You see, the national road authority, we already have a public institution for this. The Ministry of Public Works was created by an act of the legislature in 1928. Mm-hmm. It is headed by a minister, assisted by 3 deputies. In 2008, an act of the legislature, by an act of the legislature, the Ministry of Rural Development, under Madam Sirleaf, in 2008 was dissolved and its functions merged into the Ministry of Public Works. The ministry performs the following responsibilities: drafting and designing construction, planning and constructing public infrastructure, supervising construction contract, implementation, maintaining roads, bridges, public buildings, among others. Now you're saying, hey, the Public Work Ministry is in existence, but we want to set up another institution called a National Road Authority. These are the things I'm talking about. Where you should be focused in areas that add value, you focus on areas that don't. What are the challenges at the Ministry of Public Work? You review those challenges and you capacitate. Many times you don't need law to do that. Because if the Ministry of Public Work have human resource challenges, you deal with them. If it is technology, you deal with them. But if you're not dealing with them, but then you come and say, oh, we want to create another authority. How would that be funded? I remember several years ago when they were creating Land Commission, I had a problem with that. Because you're creating a separate bureau, because Land Commission was on a Ministry of Lands, Mines, and Energy. Since we created the commission, has this stopped land issues in Liberia? Now we leave that, right? We leave that. Mm-hmm. Then we go now, we say, oh, let's set up a property court.
No, but Mr. Freeman, the reasons why some of these government institutions' name will change and the president will make these recommendations for amendments is to give broader scope. Like, for example, what I was telling you, right now, the Civil Service Agency, in my opinion, does not have the authority to manage all human resource offices in different government ministries and entities. If you have a Civil Service Commission, that Civil Service Commission will be able to manage all HR offices. That means if Mr. SIMEON Freeman is president of Liberia, all those are working as HR in government ministries and agencies, the day Mr. X become president, the government will not change them automatically because there is a commission that is managing their affairs. These are the kind of things we're talking about. No, the president meant.
No. I think you're probably mistaken there. If my memory serves me right, mm-hmm. I think the Civil Service Agency, National Elections Commission, mm-hmm. are institutions that were, I think, proposed by the Constitution. So in terms of, and that was saying if my memory serves me right. Mm-hmm. So
that's Article 89. What was saying?
Right. So in terms of managing human resources, the Civil Service Agency has that mandate.
Now, as it is.
Have you seen the act of the Civil Service?
Well, maybe I need to find one.
That's what you need to do.
Because but I don't think it is. I don't think it is managing.
It is not, because you need political will. You don't need laws. You see, listen, we keep shifting. We established an anti-corruption commission that we didn't need in the first place.
No, but Mr. Freeman, political will
slow down.
I'm coming.
No. Here we're coming.
I'm coming. Political will is at the discretion of Mr. SIMEON Freeman as president of the country. The law is binding. That's the difference.
No, that's where you're getting it wrong. This is where you're getting it wrong. One, you have an existing agency created by the act of the legislature.
Correct.
Years ago. Mm. What are the institutional weaknesses? You enhance those institutional weaknesses. But the political aspect is, let's create a whole new set of laws. Even when you do create a set of laws, the institution doesn't work. And I'll give LCC. On the one hand, and I will use two institutions here. Mm-hmm. On the one hand, we had the Ministry of Lands, Mines, and Energy. Yeah. So we had the lands. Then we said, okay, to make it effective, let's set up a lands commission. How many years ago? That was established under Madam Sirleaf. The land issue unresolved. Still unresolved. Then we come back in 2026 and say, let's set up a property court. Another liability, and then will be the same people coming back and say, oh, but government don't have money. But we keep expanding the government. What if we had said at the time, the deficiencies that are impeding progress at the lands, mines, and energy, that this land section is not working, let's resolve them. All we would have done, provide the capacitation needed to enhance output. Then we came to LACC, even though we didn't need that because we had a Ministry of Justice that was supposed to review audit reports. Lawyers have a way called the weight of evidence. Many times, from a journalistic perspective, say, oh, John Brown is corrupt. He stole this. The weight of evidence have not been examined. So an audit report does not indict anybody. It's the auditor's perception. The disclaimer is right there. Those who also sit on boards and see that. That's why you take it to the lawyers to look at that. But even at that, the LSC said, we can't do much because we don't have prosecutorial power. Then that was given. What has happened? 4-year project sits right there under this government. Nothing is being said. 200, I think it is something machines procure, nothing allotted in the budget. LSCC says nothing. People are being suspended from this government, no LSCC. But LSCC is busy going after, Cloud we are, or whoever else is going after that. So you see, because you establish these institutions doesn't mean it solves the problem. That's what we say. Slow down, I want to land. Mm-hmm. Political will here means that things needs to be done and you get it done. You don't wait and say, oh, we need to create this, because all of these things are intended to just waste time. And I have a lot of those situations here that I'm going to show you.
Now, the thing about it is, now, the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission isn't Afro Cloud, we are others alone. There are certain government officials who were suspended, who went there, either some of them were clear or sent to court. But let me remind you again about the creation of some of these things. An agency may not have a broader scope like a commission. And I will remind you about the GSC. Mr. Freeman, when the GSC was the General Auditing Agency, it was reporting directly to the president. But that the president has so much interferences in the operation of the General Auditing Agency. Now, it is the General Auditing Commission. It reports to the legislature through the Public Accounts Committee.
And
so nobody will have to worry about the president looking at the report.
Slow down. And what has changed since you did that?
What has changed, in my opinion, is that the GAC is now reporting without any fear or favor to the legislature and no longer to the president. Because what has changed is, for example, Mr. Freeman, you're president of the country, right? When the GAC is supposed to submit a report to you and that report is submitted, you look at the report. When it is damaging on institution in your government, you say, no, you gotta go change the report. The report, when it comes out, it will be damaging. Right now, the GSC will not have to do that anymore.
So here's the thing, Mr. Jackson. And that's where you're making a terrible mistake. And that's why...
You think so?
Yeah, and that's why the politicians mislead. You don't need all of those change in names, change in nomenclature in order to acquire your outcome. That's where it goes wrong. Lands Commission, nothing. LSCC, since they started reporting, show me how many cases have been convicted by the LSCC since it got prosecutorial power, since it became a commission. Tell me, show me, since the establishment, the total quantity of funding provided to them, what has been, what has happened? Nothing. So we have a system where you're asking to establish existing institutions. National Food Assistance Agency, already in existence, was structured since 1970. You coming back to us and you say you want to establish National Food Assistance Agency. You already giving money to them. They are in existence. They're in the budget. And I can show it to you right here. Since 1970, they've been in the budget, one of those institutions that we don't even need. You come back to us, we have the Ministry of Public Works that conducting road. You say you want to establish a National Road Authority. Then tomorrow you come and say, oh, let's make you a National Road Commission. But you already have the functions of. So why not capacitate those institutions with the necessary resources, manpower capacity, technology to get the outcome? You're wasting time of the people of Liberia. Politicians sit down, spend money on themselves, they enjoy, and then they come and pretend like they're doing something while the people are hurting. So that you have a civil service agency. Here are the main problems. One guy goes to, and you know these things. One guy gets to the Ministry of Finance, He doesn't like the current special assistant there, right? So he takes that current special assistant and pushes in someone and brings his own person in. He goes to the ministry, he sees another guy in a department, maybe he put him in another department where he doesn't belong. So what happened? Those recruitments are not going through the civil service agency. So you have individual persons within government and within institutions that are very powerful, that bring on whole new staff. Every minister comes, he probably brings in 30, 40 or his own people through different structures, void of the civil service agency. If the president in a cabinet meeting say, gentlemen, we must comply, and every hiring at your institution must go through these set guidelines for hiring, the wage bill will not be rising like it does. But instead of dealing with that, we say, let's convert it from an agency to a commission, as though creating a commission solves the problem. So we're ignoring the problem, and we're wasting the people of Liberia's time, and poverty is growing with people every year, and people are suffering.
I don't get it, Mr. Freeman. If you are arguing that people move people and put people there that they like, and we are talking about setting up a commission that will be by law,
right,
to the extent that they will, the Civil Service Commission will manage HRs. I mean, that whoever comes to power will not have the opportunity to remove the president, and you still say, well, that is not okay, but then you are still concerned about people taking people. I don't get it. But since the time is gone, I want us to move to the economy. Let's move to the economy so that we don't spend all of our time. And I will read some of the comments. I see a young Liberian engineer, Achigbo, from somewhere out of the country.
You'll read that comment later.
Yeah,
let me just go on.
No, we'll go to the economy now? Or what?
No, we still on the legislative agenda.
Okay.
The president is also asking for a revised charter of the University of Liberia. Exactly. These are the questions we say.
Yeah.
AMEU, UNU wanted to expand the facility. Zion University wanted to expand the facility. They didn't have to go through all of the noise of a revised charter. They assessed the institutional challenges, and what did they do? They corrected it. OKFM wanted to be a better radio station. What did they do? They didn't have to rebrand the name. All they did, recognize the institutional challenges, corrected it. They brought in different actors. They came out with different shows. Over the years, you remain a destination radio station along with people like Pram and other people. When Spoon wanted the scene, he brought in a platform. He didn't have to go through all of that bureaucratic arrangement. Today we're saying, instead of dealing with the challenges at the university, what are we saying? We say we need to review the charter of the university. Do we need to review the charter to put window at the University of Liberia? Do we need to review the charter to avail chairs to the University of Liberia for students? Do we need to review the charter to get good teachers there? This is a waste of our time.
But I see the university president has commended the president for that. She thinks it's a good
Oh, there is a bigger issue. Take your calculator. I want you to calculate something because I don't want to come from it.
Okay.
Take your calculator. Last year, the University of Liberia... the University of Liberia was given $33.8 million.
33.8 million.
Yes, 33,800,000. 33,800,000.
Almost the same thing, 33.8.
Yeah, but I want you to divide it by something. So you just put
33,800,000.
Yeah, and divide it by about 20,000 students. You will get 1,690.
Divide by 20,000.
You will get $1,690.
1,690.
That's more than the tuition people pay at Cottington. That's all. That's more than Cottington University. Cottington is better run. You have about 20,000 students at the University of Liberia, between 18 to 20. You get 33,800,000. That's $1,690 per student. Still, the university is badly run. This year, you get 40,400,000. That's about $2,000 per student. Still is badly run. Then we go to the issue of charter. How come Cottington is better run? AMEU that is cheaper is better run. Stella Maris that is cheaper is better run. And University of Liberia has no window. Answer the question.
So your point.
Your argument.
We're not debating yet.
No, we are.
I'm asking the question, and you are supposed to be answering. This is not a debate between Simon Freeman and
No, it's not a debate.
But I represent the public.
We all playing the devil's advocate.
Yes.
So I represent the politicians too. So I represent the opposition community, and since you represent
the whole politician, not the opposition as well. So the point you're making is.
Right.
we do not need the creation and establishment of too many of these institutions.
Because
all we need is the political will to effectuate whatever change we want in the existing ones.
Finish. And look, I just gave you University of Liberia. She commended the president, the woman. I haven't met her before. People speak highly of her, right? Yeah. So how come Cottington spends less than this? I got people on Cottington that I'm assisting, up to 10 people, including one of my nephews. At Cottington, I'm supporting. I do not pay $1,690 a year, even though there is a boarding institution. University of Liberia has no boarding institution. Government gave them $2,000 per student, and no chairs, no windows. Painting is not done. Even at that, honor the what they call it, the PSRP program, government still spend money. Where is all that money going?
SIMEON FREEMAN, a Liberian businessman.
Then we go further.
Oh, wait now.
sorry.
One thing he said to guest people here today.
Because
SIMEON FREEMAN is a Liberian businessman and political leader of the opposition movement for progressive change. Yeah, you stay on your legislature.
Yeah, because
I hope the legislature will not feel the whole show.
No, it will not.
Like an hour to go. Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Yeah.
So then you're talking about LACRA, the Liberia Agricultural Commodities Regulatory Authority.
Yeah.
This current president was vice president under Madam Sally for 12 years. He headed the agricultural sector. It was his idea to shut down LPMC. It was his idea to shut it down and form this Liberia Agricultural Commodities Regulatory Authority. He comes back and he said, "Oh, we need to expand its scope so it can do this function." The sector is already working. A lot of people have invested in cocoa and coffee. They are selling the cocoa and coffee void of LPMC or whatever, right? So you don't want to come and regulate the sector, these are the things that strangulates the economy. Then we go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, like you were talking about. They want to work this. Look, just the other day, this guy, what's his name? Philip Brown. He was, I think, the Consul General for Korea to Liberia, right?
Yeah.
If you're going across the bridge, you see Republic of Colombia. There's a consul general,
way over there.
consulate, right? That man is a Lebanese man. He says that. Then we have other Liberians that have sat and done representation. Why can't we adapt that model? Do we need a law to adapt that model? Do we need a law to say, look, we're not going to spend $22 million on the foreign ministry anymore. This is what we're going to do. We're going to leverage technology. We're going to have our representation many of our representation will be through consulates that will report. Well, these are the things to do. The president says there, and after spending $890 million, we can't account for it. We come with all of these things that waste the legislature time, waste the people's time, while real people, Mr. Jackson.
I see. So your idea is always about a small government.
Well, it's not about,
this is where you are driving.
No, it's not just about a small government. It's about. Look, let's use Ghana right next door. The Ghanaian government has been able to strengthen the Ghana passport. Just last week, the Prime Minister of the UK went to China. And what did you hear? As part of the agreement, they didn't have to go and pass laws in the UK. The Prime Minister negotiated for British citizens to go to China visa-free.
Visa waiver, I follow that.
It means that Mr. Jackson doesn't have to, if as a British citizen or a Canadian citizen, Canada managed to do that. He doesn't have to go through all of that 1 week of visa hassle. He can now go. We got less than 3,000 Liberians that have Liberian passports. Why have we not been able to get waivers along a lot of these lines? But the president stands there and says, "Oh, we need to pass laws for this." And every time they pass these laws, they create a larger bureaucracy. These are the things that are hurting people, and that's why you talk to people. Some people's grandfather was born in poverty. Their father lived in poverty. They are living in poverty. These things hurt. It's the way in which we run in the government that is hurting. And people like you, me, everybody have to be able to call these people to book so that we run the government effectively. Today, Ghanaians go to South Africa visa-free. What's the population of Ghana? About 32 million people. They go to South Africa visa-free. Liberia, What's our population? About 6 million. We just have a 3 million passport holders. We can't go to South Africa visa free. What is the issue? The issue is that that's not the focus of our people. But every step of the way, oh, Mr. President, we need this capacity. The guys are lazy. And because they are lazy, they come up with all of these agendas that really don't help us in any way. And those are the things we are complaining about. Even if you don't want to reduce the size of the government, then don't increase it. But you keep expanding it. One day we have Ministry of Cultural Affairs, Tourism. Then we say we're creating a new infrastructure. You know, all these things.
The Tourism Commission.
All these things create liabilities for operating the government. And that's what we're saying. That money you take to spend on a new property code, a new road commission. Why don't you take that money and buy more chairs? You saw the president's speech? 26,000 chairs provided to schools. Do you know how many students across this country? About 1 million students. 26,000, then 22,000 kits, STEM kits that were given to students across this country. How do you expect us to perform in government?
Okay, Mr. Simon Freeman, let's move on now. At this point now, we have to move on.
Right.
In the midst of all of that, in the midst of everything you're saying, the president told us that in the midst of all of that, the economy is better. He says, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Madam Pro Tem, and members of the legislature, fellow Liberians, last year the president said, we emphasize the economic challenges inherited by this administration, not as an excuse, but to highlight the hurdles faced and the progress achieved. Through disciplined fiscal management, sound policies, and robust partnerships, we began restoring stability and trust. As of 2024, the economy showed resilience with steady growth, declining inflation, stronger reserves, and renewed momentum across key sectors. This progress continued into 2025 with macroeconomic stability and private sector growth strengthening our commitments to the Liberian people. This is where the real thing is. He says, we are proud to announce that the economy grew by 5% in 2025. This exceeds both the 4.6% forecast and the 4.0% growth recorded in 2024. The achievement was driven by significant gains in mining, agriculture, fisheries, and services. Mining expanded by 17% and exports rose by 31.5%. That's what the president said.
So, Osman, let me break it down for you.
Go ahead.
So, you know that there was reduced mining activity in Liberia, right? There was reduced mining activity in Liberia. Now there has been an increase in mining activity. The price of gold rose drastically. So gold jumped from about, just in this month alone, the month of January, the price of gold rose, I think, by about 500. So last year, we closed the year where gold ended the year at about 4,500 per ton, right? So once you have a rising price of the commodity, it affects GDP. GDP measures those kinds of outputs. Then you have Mittal Steel. Mittal Steel has been here. What they've done, they've transitioned now from exploration, they're now doing major exportation. They've perfected the technology, and so now Mittal Steel is exporting more. So that more that they're exporting is going to affect this GDP. It doesn't mean that there is real growth in the economy in terms of that can create jobs. And I think that's where many times we miss it. Let me just show you what the World Bank suggested. The usual culprits in Liberia have been mining and stuff like that has been the source of our GDP. So the World Bank suggested that, look, which is the thing we've been saying, to transition from cyclical stagnation to sustainable inclusive growth, Liberia needs to undergo 5 significant transformations. These are things we've been saying. These include reshaping the macroeconomy by increasing domestic savings and mobilizing resources. Mm-hmm. Diversifying away from over-reliance on the mining sector. So during the Madam Sirleaf administration, you notice that when there was a massive drop in the price of iron ore, there was a budget shortfall that year, right? And I think you guys talk about that a lot, and Mr. Senator Amar Cornell was blamed. So under the circumstance, the World Bank is saying shifting towards activities that align with labor demands for an expanding urban population. Because of time, I may not be able to explain all these things because I want to go on to other things. Mm-hmm. Recognizing the private sector as the primary driver of economic growth. I want to repeat that. Recognizing the private sector as the primary source of economic growth. Implementing
You're putting a World Bank report.
World Bank report.
Okay.
Implementing deep-seated policy and institutional reform to modernize the public sector. You hear me addressing those same things in terms of public sector modernization. The World Bank studies show that you don't even need the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning to have that number of staff. You can reduce it, you can leverage technology. So having said that, suggesting that, for the president to say we grew by 5.1% or we anticipate growing by 5.6%, does not deal with the core issue. The core issues are, what are the like they say regular around the street, the bread and butter issues that you actually brought to the table that created jobs? How many industries were created? Those are the kind of conversations I want to have with the government or the president. How many industries were created? How many jobs were actually created? Those are not the discussions we're having. We throw in numbers about that does not deal with the core issue. So reliance on mining changes nothing. With the rising price of gold, you have this gold company in Cape Town that's exporting gold. You have other gold operations around. You also have mining operations around. That's it. How many employees that are Liberians actually benefit from those kinds of arrangements? So that growth is actually based on top tier. If you, for example, take the U.S. economy, you have the U.S. economy is a multi-trillion-dollar economy, but that wealth is owned by just 1% of the population. If you take the Liberian economy, the entire growth is driven by one or two sectors, and those are totally unsustainable. There is something else I just thought to bring to you about the inflation that President Boyka talked about. He said we dropped from 10% inflation to 4%. I'm sure you must have seen that, or you have not seen that.
We read that.
Good. So here's the thing. Sometimes when these things are read, people don't remember, and we have to remind people. You remember, Honor President, we introduced 48 billion Liberian dollars into the economy, new money. You remember?
Through the central bank, yeah.
Through the central bank.
Well, yeah.
From 2021 to 2023, that money was infused. What that does, inflation was below that, it was single digit. So it went up because inflation is about money supply. To inflate, meaning you put air in or you expand. So when you pump that quantity of money in, they say they were replacing the old banknotes, and also they were using that money to replace some of the tier money that was on the market. And having said that, over the last 3 years, the quality of our currency, I've discussed that on your show before. The quality of our currency, the quality of our money, if you compare it with maybe the Australian dollar or maybe the British pound, is very weak. So over a 3 months period, because of the way the market people process the money, you go to the woman selling frozen food. She take the money, her hand is wet, she put it in her lap, she bends it and everything. So what happened? The rate of deterioration is high. So what has happened over the period is that you've had some of those same money that were infused a couple of years ago, like from 2021 to current, the ones that were first infused from 2021, are beginning to disappear from the market. The central bank has not obtained a new money, so the supply of money in the system have dropped significantly, and that's what's recording for you the 4% in terms of inflation that they're talking about. The central bank itself introduced a rate change only in October of last year. So from October, and that was just 100 basis points. So 100 basis points means just about 1%. So they moved from 17.5% to 16.5%. So what did the government do that brought this inflation down? If it is not because now most of the money that is in circulation, it's no longer usable. And you understand, you have a lot of those things on the market in terms of money that has deteriorated. The new money, the quality of our money is actually weak. So government must be able to show real policies that it introduced that led to these outcomes, rather than tapping on weaknesses in the system and putting it forward. Because then for me, government officials are lazy. They're not really doing their work, because there's so much you can do in this economy if you actually are intentional about the outcome.
Okay, let me go to our Facebook page and read some of the comments here. Orlando Boys is just following. Ambassador Jerry Escona, he says, the issue about the University of Liberia is just poor management, period. Jerry Gabi said, you two running an institution, the DSTV, that expensive and users are only paying US dollar, even though we're using Liberian dollar. I expect payment for package in LG. Saros Bay, he said, Mr. Freeman, you deserve a cold bottle of beer for this level of education. Send me your number. Let me send you mobile money. The message you must send your number. Let me send you mobile money.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Achi Go is the son of Mr. Edward Go, a young Liberian engineer based abroad. He sent me this. He said, Mr. Jackson, please read it on the show. He said, please, no, this is what he sent. Okay. He said, good morning, Uncle Clarence. That's how you call me. I dare to differ with Mr. Freeman. The establishment of the national authority is welcoming, but it should be the National Road and Rail Authority, which could be in charge of land transport activities. Given the ambiguous functions assigned to the Ministry of Public Works, covering all public infrastructure design, monitoring, and management, don't you think the president is right about establishing said authority? The National Road Fund could be merged as a department.
The man of engineer, you want to talk about who is looking for a job.
Yes,
so let him just can let public work get him a job, and we don't need to establish a whole new bureaucracy.
I think he's teaching somewhere.
Yeah, he can come.
He got a good job outside the country.
So if he can come, but every time we establish a new institution, that's money. I think people forget that. That's a new office, that's cars, that's debt, that's every year you have to assign money to that institution.
Do you have any other subject discussion there from the Senate that we can talk about?
Yeah,
let's go.
That's a whole lot. So, then let's look at the budget performance in terms of the economy.
Yeah.
We are anticipating in 2026 to collect $183.9 million.
Yeah.
From the port alone.
Budget performance report.
In international trade. No, that's from the 2026 budget, right? In the past 2024, 2025, we collected 2024 $123 million. 2025, we collected $146.8 million. Mr. Jackson, these things are imported to the country. We don't produce, but when they come, we tax it heavily. So one pen you bought in China for 1 cent, when it reaches here, you sell it for $3.
Okay.
Who do you think is suffering? You pay your staff here. I'm just using an example. Let's say you pay your staff $500. I'm being generous.
Yeah.
You pay your staff $500.
I like that.
Right? Your staff gets paid $500. Then your staff is burdened by many layers. If I brought in this water, say I brought in 1,000 of it, I sell to you 200. When I sell it to you, it's inclusive of GST. Then you sell 100 cases to this man to go and resell. It's inclusive of your own GST because you have to pay it. So GST become a compound tax that is now burdening that 500. So it means almost 50% of my salary or 50% of my salary goes toward GST. Then the port charges. You have 2 operators in the port, APM terminal, National Port Authority within the port. Then they came out with this recent thing called container tracking number. Then of course, for doing nothing, you pay somebody that say they're doing inspectory. They don't have to go out there. You bring in the container, then they say they inspect it because it's already here. You pay them for that. That's the whole thing. Who do you think is paying that money? It's the people of Liberia. These are the things that's undermining growth, undermining purchasing power. If somebody buys a pen in China for 50 cents, at least if they can sell it here for $1 or 75 cents, it works for consumers. It creates something we call the multiply and circulatory effect of money, and there's going to be growth because it's about volume. The more you sell for your airtime, let's say OK FM is able to sell, say, 20,000 airtimes a month, you become competitive. That's why other radio stations in other countries are as competitive, progressive, and aggressive. So the truth of the matter is that when we do these things to our people, we create that burden. And I always use this parable. During the old time, the Barclay time, the Tottenham time, they didn't have cars much. So the paramount chiefs used to be carried on their shoulders. He used to move with a whole delegation of men, body men that were carrying him on you know the thing for the rural on a hammock. So that's how this. So those men that were carrying, one guy sitting up there, he doesn't know going through those barrels, those 4 guys. In fact, sometimes an entourage of 20 men carrying him. They will change at every interval. He doesn't walk, so he's able to go and visit a place that's almost 200 miles away, and he doesn't care because he's being carried. The people of Liberia are carrying this massive weight called government. In return, what do we get? Nothing.
Okay, Mr. SIMEON, Freeman, I would like you to sit. Let's take our first batch of questions. Since we're almost hitting 9:30, let's give the people at least a little bit of chance to interact with you a little bit. Just take your pen, jot down some of the points. Let's do maybe 5 minutes of that,
okay,
and then we can come
let's
back
do
to
something. Let's hit now it's 9:18. I don't know on the same time.
Yeah, let's just. It's important I will take some calls. At this point, let me let you rest.
Right.
Let's take some calls.
Right.
0777 700-9995. Mr. SIMEON Freeman will take his pen. 0555-995-995. And the other numbers on our page. I see all my telephones blinking all over the place. Yes, let me take this first call. I think there should be former elections commission chair, Mr. James Flomoyan. Mr. Flomoyan, let's hear you. Now the head of the Arms Commission.
Good morning, Pastor. It's been a while.
But can you speak to some of the issues, Mr. SIMEON Ray, other than going to his private business? Can you speak to some of the governance issues?
Well, the governance issue, there's no government that comes about that is free of problems.
Okay, let me bring you on to something. You are from the University of Liberia. SIMEON Freeman is arguing that we do not need to change any chapter of the University of Liberia. All we need to do is an intentional presidential will to get that university fixed and up to standards. Do you disagree? Do you disagree?
It was just given to me yesterday by my colleagues, best CEO. You see? You should correct that. Then they also did this for me.
Okay, thank you. Except that I wanted.
You did this portrait.
Thank you.
So tell him that he needs to hear it. You did this.
What was that? What is that?
My colleagues just gave me this portrait yesterday for the best CEO.
Your colleagues from where? Liberia?
Yeah, from here.
Okay.
He is saying that I don't treat my staff well. That's why I'm showing you the picture they just gave me.
Oh yeah, I see the pictures. I see everybody on the picture. Except that I want you to comment on the existing discussion, man. You know, let's talk about these government issues.
You have nothing to say. Maybe the guy wants to go back to NEC, and we're not sending you back.
No, the Mexican government. He's in the Armed Commission.
From here, we're not sending you back to NEC.
You have to give my people the chance to talk. Hello. Good morning. Are you there? From out of the country. Frank Gibson. Yeah, let's hear you, Frank. Can we focus on the discussion about the issues Freeman talk about? Can we challenge you on some of these issues? No, they're not the same thing. No, they're not the same thing. Yeah, I know. Yeah, his reputation is there, but he's talking about different things in the government. The way he sees it, he differs with the president on a lot of things. Let's talk about these things. Okay. All right, Frank. Thank you. I think the Central Bank of Liberia want to make a comment on something. The president responsible for corporate communication, Councilor Alfonso Zion. Zion, let's hear you.
Good morning, sir.
I just wanted to speak to the question of the deteriorating banknotes and the question of inflation as raised by Mr. Freeman. The key argument I'd like to make is that we appreciate the education, we appreciate the critique of these policy issues. But it's also important for Mr. Freeman to be fair in terms of analyzing government programs. That when he talked about the deteriorating state of the banknotes, the central bank, as of September 2025, launched what we call the clean note policy. Under that policy, we're going from community to community, from town to town, and teaching people how to take care of our money, so that we'll be able to improve the quality of the money in terms of the way we handle it. So when you talk about the deterioration of the money and most of the foreign aid was 74 billion printed, that is no longer usable. It's also important for you to reflect on the deliberate and intentional effort that the central bank has initiated to deal with this national problem. So Mr. Freeman doesn't have to be one-sided. You have to explain the problem, but then also speak and articulate to the intentional reforms that are taking place and the effort the government is making to make sure that these problems are solved.
Thank you, Zion. Thank you, Councillor Zion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Zion. I'll respond to that.
We can take 2, 3, then we'll come back. Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yeah?
Thank you so much to my okay family. How are you, Mr. Freeman?
He's
Good morning,
listening.
Thank God to care for you, but I wanted to ask all these things to be cooked today. I'm going to tell them to give my next from German years to Sarah from giving to my apology. My brother was all the question, all the people, the family told you, what did they do this for this country?
He's saying all the cool things you're talking, why you can't join the government so all of you will build the country. Let me take Deputy Government Spokesman Daniel Sano. Minister Sano, go ahead.
Morning, my good friend Clarence Jackson.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to the all-knowing senior people.
What you call all knowing now? What you call all knowing?
Very disrespectful.
Because Clarence,
No,
I think if I was
you
telling,
would have said it differently. Just
like
speak to
in
him
Weka,
and get your views
if I was
going.
saying,
Mr. Freeman, 1 minute, I will talk in your behalf. Mr. Minister, when you call, you say good morning, Mr. Senior Freeman, then you can go on. When you say all knowing, it doesn't sound
so the
good.
chairman from the central bank
Let's
was very
just give it a
respectful.
go.
obviously, I don't mean to talk about Mr. Freeman is a very brilliant man, but I think the way he continue to allow politics to overshadow of the good ideas that he has for the country, I don't think it is right. So, are you there, Clarence?
I'm listening, you are right.
Yeah. So Mr. Freeman goes to the studio and criticize everything about the government.
No, he didn't criticize everything. He made 1 minute, sir. He made particular reference to the president's idea about the Transition Act. He said that's a very brilliant idea.
So the Transition Act is just one aspect of all the meats in the president address the legislature.
What you see as me, I don't see.
Mr. Singh's ideas are very obscure. The other day I listened to him saying that we should shut down all of the security apparatus and place security cameras at the road walkways.
Who said that?
What? I don't know what he said about. Minister, can you point at something particularly this morning that he said that you want to differ with him on and challenge,
So I think a Zion from the central bank has already corrected some of the policies that Mr. Simon Frontal put out about the economy and what the bank is doing, what the government is doing to reduce inflation. What is said to Mr. Simon Freeman that to be a politician doesn't mean that you can be negatively critical about everything the government does. We are all citizens of that bureau. The other day you won a radio and said, well, wearing a watch that costs 400,000.
But minister, you're not saying anything or you're wasting our time. The man talk plenty things. I thought you would grab 1 or 2 things and say, I differ with him. This is what the president means. This is what it will do for the country. But you're talking about the man wash. You're wasting our time.
That's what the Ministry of Information does.
You're talking about the man wearing white. I think that's personal thing. Daniel.
What I'm saying to you here is that when somebody comes to the studio and say, Clement Johnson, I will take all the staff in UK FM to America tomorrow. Look at the person. Okay? This man goes to the studio
what did he say yet this morning that you did forward? I'm keeping you long because you are a government official. I have to respect that.
Everything Mr. Stephen has said on the creation of new entities as proposed in the president's speech, the president left the agenda,
That's so good.
everything he has said in the speech and every of it.
Okay, thank you. You say yours. Let's go on. Hello.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Johnson.
Good morning, sir.
That
No, you can't do that. I want to cut you off. What's that? You can't do that. I'm sorry. If I knew your number would block it, you'll not call it again until you apologize to Minister Daniel Sano. We can't be rude like, look, I mean, don't blow me up. We can't do that. We can't do that. No. Okay, let's assume you believe Mr. Sano spoke to Mr. Freeman in a way that was disrespectful. So will you have to disrespect Daniel Sano too? You can't do that. That's not the kind of discourses we're supposed to be having in the country. Hello? I'll cut you off. Go to your cousin differently. Yeah.
It's very embarrassing. Mr. Freeman speak on to dinner in Canada. I expect it to be official before, and then when Mr. Freeman knows that the one is before is wrong, then the president. Now the first thing the former international commission. You think you're DMC, the member something. Then they're not coming out again. The member one. That's the embarrassment to the country as the Japanese commission minister. Now every time they're not going to fall, you will say executive politician, the message of women. It's not the name of the people. This is the people that are the people for us. This is the people that we are just for us. This is the people.
Okay, Chief. We hear you. From North Dakota, hello? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Can you just please call your name, sir?